episode 155. 155 episodes. Damn it, we've been going a long time. And yeah, this week it is Valentine's week. Now, I did a bit of research on this Valentine oak, and I really am struggling to find the link between him and this whole love thing, because the oak is, believe it or not, the patron saint of beekeepers and epilepsy. So if you can work out how that translates to the love thing, you must let me know, because I haven't a clue. I think he died on the 14th of Feb around 269 AD, so a few days ago. But this bridge between love. But anyway, speaking of love, let's see what our lovely girl is, what treatment she's getting this week. We are making progress in getting our girl to the stage that we can fire her up and drive off knowing that we have a safe, reliable vehicle. Tyre and LePan and his team are helping us get to that stage. A quick update on those strip bolts that we had on our air suspension units. You remember last week there was a suggestion by a viewer that we coat the stripped bolts and then recut the thread. So what Tyron had decided, he's just reduced the thread. He's taken it down to an 8mm, and it was just a lot easier, because even though brazing it wouldn't use a lot of heat, we really don't want to damage this unit, because then you've got to chuck it away, and that will hurt. With the strip bolt sorted, the air suspension ballasts are now fully installed and connected to Meraai's compressor. These units installed on Meraai are toys when compared to the massive air suspension setups on the colossal trailers that surround her in TradeCheck's workshop. Our toys will be helping cushion Meraai's body, which we raised some 120 millimeters from the chassis. And then these little babies are the supports, the little gussets that you are going to go all the way around on the spaces beneath the vehicle to staunch her up. The supports are now being welded into place to give the spaces that raised our body a bit more oomph. Although it seems that I was off point last week regarding the positioning of the brackets. The right side of the vehicle has now got all its little supports in place. It was decided to put those little brackets not onto the chassis but against the spacer and the body. Tyron was worried about, if you weld onto the chassis, you're just adding extra stress onto the chassis, which is something you don't want. What he noted and he was quite impressed about, was that the bottom of the spacers, there is a piece of rubber. And I can remember that rubber being installed to prevent any vibration between the spacers. What I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted is that the guys at East Coast Scratch and Dent did a good job in placing the rubber buffer between the spacer and the chassis to help absorb movement. The spacers were then bolted into place. We also have some movement on the rubber seals front. I paid a visit to Rubberite in Durban. Our friend Vilma wasn't available, but I went to the Durban branch and got me this. Now, this should do a pretty good job at sealing our driver's door, and then to make a plan for our habitation unit, that main door, just to seal and make it weatherproof, dustproof. The guy who helped me at Rubberite also told me that the best way to get a good contact is to the surface of the rubber that's going to be mounted against the vehicle, just to give it a light sand. We have spent a fair amount of time going over every inch of Meraai. I guess one could liken our journey to our amazing country. Things started out well enough and then went all pear-shaped. Now I know that February is the month of love, but I'm afraid I have to burst that bubble. How many of you watched SONA, the State of the Nation address? Because my brothers and sisters, you missed one of the greatest fairy tales ever told by Squirrel. Now, what Squirrel said was, in 1994, there was a young girl called Tinswalo born. And she was raised in a house that had electricity, which her parents didn't have, and it was in a safe area. And she went to school where she was fed, and she was like a happy child. And then she got some sort of grant, and she went and studied at a tertiary institution, and she came out, and she was able to get a job, and then she was given a house, blah, 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 blah. Well, my friends, the truth of the matter is that today, Tinswalo's children probably wake up hungry and in the dark because of load shedding. Hungry because there's no food on the table because the parents are unemployed. And if Tinswalo's daughter needs to get to school, there's probably a taxi strike on the go, so she has to walk. And while she's walking, she's going to be damn lucky if she's not abducted or sexually assaulted or even killed. And if she's fortunate enough to make it to school, she's so hungry she's going to be relying on that meal which you and I have paid for, and it won't be there because the people who had the contract to supply that meal put the money in their pockets. Then if she's lucky enough and she does manage to get through high school, she goes and studies and she qualifies. She comes out looking for a job and she can't get one. Why? Because the economy is stuffed. Now that is the truth. Fairy tales, my friends. Fairy tales. Oh, I just forgot to add. Squirrel also promised that there was going to be an end to load shedding. And on Saturday, the 10th of February, I wake up in the morning to stage 6 load shedding. Here in Leisure Bay, 11 hours, no power. Pila. Okay, there have been some positive changes over the last 30 years. And as I headed towards Meraai, dodging the many potholes on the Izotsha Road, for the life of me, I could not remember any of those positive changes. But, like the potholes, they are there. Whoa! What I do know is that the moo-poo that these cows are leaving on the road has far more substance than Squirrel's fairy tale. Well, that's it for this week. The week of love, with a usual little bitch and moan thrown in there, just for good measure. I have been chatting to Tyre in Japan, and he reckons that next week he has just got Meraai in his radar. They will finish up the other side of putting those little supports on. Then they're going to climb into the doors and all the other little bits and pieces that need doing. So I can't wait for all of that to happen. Gosh, I can't wait. This is really a never-ending story. But guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for your contribution, your comments. I really appreciate it. And we are in one of the shortest months. It's a leap year. All you oaks with bookies, and you don't forget they can propose to you. Eh? Be careful, but just be careful, man. Very careful. Anyway, guys, please, as usual, we live in a beautiful but disturbing at times place. You must look after your families. You must look after your possessions, your property, and above all, always keep safe.